Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what will be the last Rother Forum get-together for this year. We've got 4 topics being addressed today. We have devolution or unitary authority, whichever way you like to call it. We have policing, looking at neurodiversity in the community, and also surviving Christmas. So first of all, let me invite I can't read this, sorry. East Sussex County Councillor Cllr Redstone, who is a member of the Joint Scrutiny or Reference Group looking at local government reorganisation and devolution. Welcome.
So I'm Cllr Redstone. I'm the County Councillor for Northern Rother, which has 7 parishes from Robertsbridge going eastwards. I'm also obviously a full county councillor, take part in debates, but I'm also, as Teresa mentioned, a member of the cross-party scrutiny committee looking at devolution and LGR. So I've read hundreds of pages, I've been immersed in it, we've had hours and hours of debates and discussion. So I hope I can do justice to this topic. Over the next 3 hours, I'm going to give you an idea of what devolution. It always gets a laugh. No, I'm going to try and speak for 20 minutes. I could speak for 3 hours, but don't want that. But even so, to cover this in 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to have to go at some pace, and I'm going to have to skip through some details. But if you've got any particular questions, I'm sure I can address those later. So the background to this. The government were elected and did apparently in the manifesto talk about local government reorganisation, but not in detail. 16th of December last year, they issued a white paper on devolution and LGR. There were 2 parts to that. Firstly, it was a white paper. There'd been some expectation it would be a green paper, which was one for consultation, discussion. They didn't. It was a white paper. It said, this is what we're going to do. The second aspect of it is it was much more radical than people had expected. But it's a government decision. The first thing they asked is for councils such as East Sussex, West Sussex and so on to express an interest in becoming what they called the Devolution Priority Programme. The government said this is going to happen whether you like it or not, but we invite councils to submit an interest and be on the priority programme. And there's some incentives, some financial incentives to do that. So, and when you looked at the criteria for councils that should go through this process, it was pretty clear that we met those very well indeed in Sussex and East Sussex. So East Sussex County Council got together with other councils, I'll talk about that, expressed interest. We were one of the 6 councils in the country, 6 areas in the country, given inclusion in the Devolution Priority Programme, the DPP. So what's involved in this? There are 2 linked but separate stages, processes. The first one is to go to unitary. So at the moment we have districts and boroughs and county. Unitarisation means you replace that with a single level rather than 2 levels. And that's called local government reorganisation, LGR. The second one is moving to a mayoral system, so where we have a directly elected mayor, and that's called devolution because the mayor effectively takes on some of the functions devolved from central government. I'll talk about that more a bit later. So let me look at each of these in turn. So local government reorganisation, I'm going to look at it particularly from the point of view of East Sussex, but there are some interactions with Brighton and West Sussex as well. I have to say, at county, and I think at the districts and boroughs, we didn't feel a need to do this. We felt that we were working well with the districts and boroughs. Your bins are collected by, in this case, Rother District Council, and the processing of that and the recycling is done by East Sussex County Council. Pretty clear, really. But nevertheless, the government said we should do this, so we have no choice. So what will happen is the districts, boroughs and county will all be abolished and be replaced by one or possibly more unitary councils. In theory, it should save money, but I don't think that's the major justification for this. It should make it simpler for residents. Instead of having to decide, do I call Rother or do I call East Sussex, there's one point of call. The white paper set out criteria for how the organisation should happen. They said that unitary councils should almost always be, or the white paper said should be at least 500,000 residents. East Sussex, we have 560,000. Later, the minister said, well, there might be a bit of flexibility on that. It also said that districts and boroughs should not be broken up or divided. There shouldn't be a change in boundaries. If a district is within one area, it should stay within that area. They also said it must be of a size to offer sustainable public services. So what we had to do in East Sussex is get a group together, and all 6 councils, the 5 districts and boroughs and county, got together, had various committees and so on, and came up with more detailed submissions. And it was cross-party, cross-council. For example, there was a committee of council leaders chaired by Zoe Nicholson, who is the Green Party leader of Lewes District Council. All parties were involved in this to try and come up, because of the imperative of the government, we had to come up with something that would work. There were ranges of surveys and focus groups, and there was a strong support. There are some alternative proposals. Brighton, as you may have heard, was interested in taking over some areas of East Sussex, Seaford, Newhaven possibly, Peacehaven, some parts of Lewes. There was strong views against that. And the solution that came out was the one East Sussex one. So we submitted a document. Here it is. If anyone has problems sleeping, it's about 150 pages or something like that. I have read it though. But it goes into great detail and it looks at the one East Sussex proposal, which is the one that we've gone to the government with, but also the other options as well. So that's the most likely one to be adopted, but as with a lot of what I talk about, it's up to the government. The government ministers will make up their mind what happens. It's not in our power. We can simply put forward a proposal we think is sensible and credible, and most importantly, that serves the residents of East Sussex. In the surveys that were done, there was a strong favour for all of this. There was the biggest concern was about local representation. If you think about it here, we've got Rother District Council round the corner. We've got East Sussex County Council in Lewes. That's the most likely seat of the one East Sussex. Well, which one is more local? So there are concerns about that, and I'll perhaps, if I get time, mention that later. So that one East Sussex document, I just need to make sure I cover all the topics, seems sensible to almost everyone who's looked at it. It aligns with existing service footprints. The major thing that East Sussex does, county for example, is adult and social care and children's services. That dominates our budget. If the one East Sussex was on the same footprint, it means we don't have to disaggregate services or split them up. It builds on established coordination. So we're already working with the districts and boroughs. So merging all of those into a unitary makes sense. It works together. It meets the government criteria, and it does, and this document talks about it, gives some operational savings. So the timetable for this, and it does interact with the mayoral elections I'll talk about shortly, is that we submitted a more detailed proposal to government, this document, on the 26th of September. The government will look at this and start a consultation in November and December. That'll finish in January, and then in March the government will announce their decision on what configuration, what boundaries we'll have for unitary in Sussex. Then there'll be elections to unitary in May 27, possibly May 26, up to the government. I'll perhaps talk about election delay later. And then from May 27 to April 28, there'll be just detailed planning, implementation, and then the new unitary council will be fully vested in, I think, April 28. So it takes a fair time, but there's a huge amount to do. So that's local government reorganisation. The other part is devolution. Again, this is driven by the white paper. And the white paper talks about mayoral strategic authorities, MSA. There's all sorts of acronyms here. The one covering Sussex is going to be called the Sussex and Brighton Combined County Authority. Most people, most in the councils, felt it shouldn't mention Brighton because Brighton is part of Sussex. But the government decided it was going to include Brighton. I don't think it's a big deal, quite frankly. So that's what it will be. There will be a mayoral combined authority. I won't use the full name. In July, just gone, the parliamentary bill for this was published. There's very little control that we have in Sussex as a whole on what's included in this. The government will produce, they don't need a bill for it even, they need a statutory instrument after the bill. The statutory instrument sets out the structure of the mayoral authority. All three councils, constituent councils, so West Sussex, East Sussex and Brighton, had to agree to this, and they did all agree a week or two ago at different council meetings. So what does this statutory instrument include? Again, I'm going to have to summarise some of this. So it's going to be the Combined County Authority, as I said, Sussex and Brighton Combined County Authority. There must be a shorter acronym. It will include a cabinet. If we end up with, say, 3 unitaries, Brighton, West Sussex and East Sussex, the cabinet will have 6 members plus the mayor. And it will have majority voting, with a mayor not having a casting vote except in one minor case. The budget will need 2/3 majority. The key thing, there will also be a deputy mayor. The key thing about the mayoral system is that this mayor is a light touch mayor. I'll go through the powers the mayor has shortly, but if you look at it compared to, say, Manchester or London, there the mayors have much more authority. This one, the mayor is relatively light touch. Most of the work will be done by the unitary councils. So what will the mayor cover? Transport and local infrastructure. There's a thing that East Sussex had to prepare called the Local Transport Plan. I know a lot about that because I chaired the committee, the reference group on it. It covers highways, but also the local LCWIP, which is local cycling, walking and wheeling infrastructure plan, so bike lanes and so on. It covers buses, bus lanes and things like that. The mayor will also have involvement in skills and employment support, and related to that, economic development. And that's good. We need growth. We need more jobs in East Sussex and Sussex as a whole. The mayor will have responsibility for housing and strategic planning. I stress strategic, including spatial development plans. That's the equivalent of a neighbourhood plan that we have in some sort of lower level councils. This will be across Sussex. The mayor will also have environment and net zero responsibilities. I won't really talk about those, they're not much. Health and well-being. One of the most important things where the mayor will have more direct power is in public safety, which covers police and fire. So at the moment, we already have a Sussex-wide police and crime commissioner covering West Sussex, East Sussex and Brighton, which is fine. That works. That'll easily migrate to the new organisation. Fire is a bit more difficult. I'm actually a member of the East Sussex Fire Authority, and we cover not only East Sussex County but also Brighton. So the Fire Authority has councillors from each. But West Sussex, their fire service is directly part of the County Council. That will have to be disaggregated so it can come under the mayor, and maybe in future there'll either be two fire services still under the control of the mayor, or it's even possible they may merge, but that's a future decision. So that's the list of services that are currently delivered by the constituent authorities, West Sussex, East Sussex and Brighton, which will move to being the responsibility of the mayor. But it's expected that a lot of things will still be delivered by the Unitary Council. So the mayor, for example, actually let me just remind ourselves the reason the government have called this devolution. I'll take one example. In East Sussex, we wanted to do things about improving our bus services. And we did a report, we submitted a proposal to government for the Bus Service Improvement Plan, BSIP. It was a very good proposal. The government said, yes, we like this, and they gave us £42 million that we're using on subsidising bus services, building some bus infrastructure to help get more people using bus services. But we had to apply to the government for that. The idea of devolution is the government just gives a whole chunk of money to the mayor, and then the mayor decides where it goes to. The mayor and cabinet decides where it goes to. So it should make it easier and make those sort of funds be deployed in a way which better serves the residents of Sussex. That's the theory. I think it could work, but we'll have to see. It has worked in other mayoral areas. So the timetable for the mayoral election, which overlaps with the one I talked about earlier, is that we've already established, I haven't talked about it, an informal partnership board. So that's sort of looking ahead. We've got people like the chair of the fire authority is on it, as well as council leaders. We've been doing lots of work on it across the councils. There'll be a draft local assurance framework submitted to government at the end of this month. And that will talk about governance, the constitution, those sorts of things. Scrutiny, how will we scrutinise this? The statutory instrument will come into force at some stage, that depends on the government. Then there'll be an inaugural meeting of the mayoral combined authority. The government will announce a final decision on that in March 26, and May 26 there'll be the elections for mayor. And you already see there's already been candidates, there's already campaigns kicked off for that. The mayor will be elected, and then there'll be detailed planning, and the mayor will take over in about a year later. You need time for these procedures and processes to get into place. So that's the key summary of local government reorganisation and devolution. Always look at them separately. I'm just, how am I doing for time? Okay. 10 minutes, right. I'll speak for less than that and get some questions, hopefully. Local involvement. I mentioned before that we're all concerned that well, I used to go to Rother District Council for this, and now do I have to contact someone in Lewes? The government has talked about that. We've got parish councils. I know a lot about those. I attend 7 of them. how can we handle local involvement? The government white paper talks about neighbourhood area committees, but it's not really clear how they said they will include parish councils, unitary councillors, something like that. I was invited to a meeting of RALC, the Rother Association of Local Councils, yesterday, and it was mostly of clerks and Sue Proshak, who's a district councillor here. It wasn't clear. None of us were clear what the government meant by that. And I think we need to work through that and say, how can we ensure that if I'm a resident and need something done or need to express my views, say, on a planning application, how can I do that? But I think that will be sorted out over the next few years. The other thing is that obviously the government decided, well, the white is election delay. Hot topic. I'm sure I'll have some questions on that. The government, in the white paper, said we think councils may want to ask for a delay in the elections. And in local government reorganisations up and down the country, there's been a delay in elections. And one of the reasons is that when you go through an election, you have a period where officials can't do very much, you can't take decisions, and then after the election, you've always got to get new councillors up to speed. So imagine we'd had that in May this year at county. There weren't elections due elsewhere. We would have had, in the period when we were producing this detailed plan, we would have had about 5 or 6 months when we couldn't take decisions. It would have just crippled the whole operation. So the government said, you can ask for a delay in elections. We and everyone else did. And the minister decided, yes, you can delay the elections by a year. And the reason they did it by a year was that that's the maximum they can do without primary legislation in Parliament. We're still waiting to see if the government want to delay it another year. The proposal is that they should, because we would then have the mayoral election in 27, unitary election, 26, the mayoral election 27. That gives time for it all to bed down and us to be running a sensible government in Sussex. Right, thank you. That's all I'm going to say. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Yes. So, we have our first question here for Paul.
Good morning. Oh, good morning, Paul.
Hi, Tracy.
So, one of the main questions that I have around this particular issue is the money being cascaded, presumably, a sum which the new mayor will be responsible for distributing. How often will a package of money be cascaded from government, is my first question. Secondly, what assurances or management will be in place to assure that Sussex's money isn't absorbed by mid-Sussex, shall we say, and us on the outskirts get forgotten?
Very good questions. The first is that about right, that distance? Yeah. The first is that the government has said they've given £38 million a year to the mayor. They said in their proposal, and that can be used for all sorts of investments and so on. I don't think that's enough in all. There'll be other funds as well, and the mayor will be allowed to raise their own precept. So there'll be other funds too. Already we pay separately for police and fire precept in East Sussex. You'd expect something like that to continue, but it may be just rolled up into one. There's been a lot of discussion on that. I've been part of that. In terms of areas, you're quite right. There would be concern. But the fact is that there's a cabinet there. The cabinet is responsible for the budget and needs a 2/3 majority. And if they show particular favouritism to one area or another area, let's try that. Is that all right now? Yeah. If they showed favouritism to one area or another area, it's not going to help, and there's going to be hell to pay from unitary members and so on. We already have that within East Sussex. We're all trying to look after our own patch and our own residents.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for that. Who will elect the mayor? Will it be a public vote?
It's a public vote. Yeah, absolutely. It's a public vote. For the mayoral election next year, it's going to be first past the post, as in currently as the police and crime. After that, the government have said for subsequent years that it's going to go to single transferable vote. So you'll have a first choice and a second choice one, as I understand it. But here in East Sussex, it'll be for the elections next year, unless the government change their mind. There will be first past the post.
Thank you. Martin, we have a question here, please.
Could you tell me what was the size of the financial incentive that the government were offering you, and have you received it, and where's it gone?
Oh, that's a good question. We certainly got funds to do some of the surveys and things like that. I will get back to you on that. I can't remember the exact figure of the incentives. I said it wasn't hugely significant compared to our budget. Our budget this financial year, excluding schools, is I think £538 million. It's relatively small compared to that. But quite frankly, the difference, even a small amount, will help us improve the services to people in East Sussex. I will get back to you though. I know your name, so I'll find that now.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Paul. That's interesting to note that 8 months ago we had a much more general update. Oh, I'm sorry, do we have... Oh, I do apologise, we have another question from the back.
We've got questions from social media. So the first one is, if there's no interest in the assets, that these various levels of council have, such as toilets and things like that, from people who had a previous interest, what will happen to them?
That's a good question. It's come up a lot at the parish councils I attend, and there is no easy solution. If you think about the fundamental thing is it needs to be financially sound. So if you think about an asset such as public toilets are actually liabilities in a way rather than assets. So you've got to say, here's an asset, what's its real worth? And if it's zero or less than zero, could we just hand it over? If it's more than zero, if it's asset, I'll give an extreme example, something that might be built on in the future, then actually you can't just hand that over. But it is a challenge, and it's been a challenge elsewhere.
Sorry, what will happen to monitoring officers after devolution? Because having one combined council monitoring every single parish and every other level of councillor that there may be may prove to be a...
That's a good question. There have to be monitoring officers. So monitoring officers, for example, cover, they monitor the operations of things like parish councils. I know this, Ben and I have been involved with one of the parish councils, which has had some challenges in that area. There has to be some sort of monitoring officer. I do not know how that will be set up. That function has to exist, I'm sure. I will try and find out some more. It's not in the One East Sussex document, from what I can remember, and I'll get back to you, Ben.
Right, well, definitely now to say thank you very much indeed. I was just going to say that 8 months ago in our first forum, we did look a little bit at devolution, and at that time it was really quite general, the information that was available, and the progress in 8 months is really pleasing. There's another 2.5 years to go, and there will be more and more developments and information coming through. So hopefully we can continue to have some updates as time goes by. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
So our second speaker today is Sussex Chief Inspector Simon Yates. I hope I've got that right. Who's going to give us an update on policing locally. Now I'm going to try and raise this because Simon is a taller person.
Do it on my knees.
How's that?
Perfect. Do you think? Sound all right at the back? Good. All right. Lovely. Good afternoon now, everyone, actually. Yeah, thank you. So my name's Simon Yates. Some of you might have seen me here before. Again, the last one could well have been about 8 months ago, actually. It's gone quick. I'm the Hastings and Rother District Commander, so I look after and responsible for policing with it across Hastings and Rother. Specifically, I look after our neighbourhood policing teams. So they're the teams that actually have been affected probably the most by the government recently since they've come into power, where you may have heard on the news something around the neighbourhood policing guarantee. Well, that's dictated how many officers we have to have on patrol and out engaging with the community, and it's also dictating to us some of the things we have to do. So that team specifically covers all of Rother. There's an inspector, 3 sergeants. I've now got 5 officers. I think when I last spoke to you, I probably had 4, but that's getting increased. So every 3 months, when new recruits are coming through, they're going to be spending 3 to 6 months with us on the neighbourhood policing team. And so to give an example, in January, we're getting an additional 4 officers that will spend 3 months on neighbourhood policing teams. And the way that I envisage using them is I will give them, problems to solve in the community, whether it may be, whether it's Rye, Bexhill, whatever, and 3 months to really have a good drive. And, every day they'll be focusing on that problem, which, we haven't had actually for a number of years. So we spoke about the firefighters, but that's what we call it. We're firefighting policing sometimes with that respect. So really pleased about that. The other part of the neighbourhood policing guarantee is how we use those skills. Okay, what are we doing? And I think last time I spoke, our demand was pretty high, our resourcing was pretty low. It wasn't a pretty picture actually for anybody. So we were just firefighting. We were targeting the biggest risk that we could see in the community. And I remember when I first came to support Hastings and Rother, when I first took up this role, I sat down with the Community Safety Partnership and partners and said, give me one guarantee, one priority that you want me. Sorry, I'm on call today and that's my work phone, but don't worry, they can wait. They give me one priority, and that's what we're focused on, and that's what we deliver. Because I didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and we wanted that one focus that we could address. So, whereas now actually the door's open again. We can take on more of these priorities and deal with some of the wider issues. A real key thing to mention, 80 people in the room and online as well, is, again, part of the new government initiative. There's a website called Police UK. So if you just type into Google Police UK, and what that will do, that will bring up every single area in the UK. And if you type in your postcode, your street, your town, it will tell you the ward you're in, who your police officers are, who your neighbourhood support officers are, and also when we're going to have the next community meeting. So we will have community meetings every 3 months. And that within that, we're trying to drive up priorities that you tell us. And they might not be the most exciting policing priorities. It might be that the hedges are overgrown. It might be there's not enough lighting. But they're the neighbourhood problems that we want to address. And of course, if things aren't lit correctly, if things aren't overloaded, it's that broken window syndrome where more crime occurs. So we will then look to address that over 3 months, and we'll do a bit of a you said we did. And now I'm joined by some of the team actually at the back, which is good. What I wanted to then cover, I think, only just for the next probably 5-10 minutes, I think the majority that we'll get out of this is questions. But I just wanted to cover some of the crime stats that have taken place recently in Rother, some of the things we're looking to address, and then I'll finish with some of the upcoming events that we've got taking place for people to attend. So, crime stats in Rother. It's actually not been too bad. You may be surprised, but the rolling year decrease is a 7.5% decrease in incidents that have been reported to the police in Rother, which I think is fantastic. And that equates to 6.9% decrease in victims of crime as well. So what that is so that's 6,000 incidents really that have been reported to us, but only 3,500 victims. So of course that's showing us that there's a lot of repeat victims, of crimes and incidents that are taking place, which is how we build our sort of trends. Antisocial behaviour has increased. That's increased by around 7% in the whole of Rother, which is something that we're looking to address now. And as I said, with our extra resources, that's where we'll get our problem profiles up and running, and actually we can start to address these more and a wider variety. So antisocial behaviour, as I said, is up 7.2%. Then we get onto quite a good story, really. Hate crime. almost a 13% decrease, 12.9. And you look at the current climate, that it certainly with the flags that we've had recently, with the incident we had at the mosque, as an example, there's a lot of tension around in the community. So it's really positive to see, certainly in Rother, that we've seen that decrease in hate crime. My only fear is if that's people not reporting it, and it is happening and they're not telling us. We're not doing the same as what the Met are doing. We will investigate all hate crimes, and we will record all hate incidents. Arson and criminal damage, that's had a 15% decrease among Rother. Again, a really good news story. And in line with that, public order offences have had a 13% decrease as well. It feels like it's going well, doesn't it? At the minute. Violence without injury, again, a decrease of 6.4%. And violence with injury, which is your fear of violence, your common assaults, that's gone down 7%. Rape and sexual offences, again, last time I was talking here, I think we'd had 3 or 4 high-profile sexual incidents that have taken place within Rother. I'm pleased to say we haven't really had any since, and that's shown a decrease of 13%, which is really positive. And also knife crime in Rother is down 12.5%. Robbery. So robbery, it hasn't been reclassified. It's always been the same definition of an offence taking place. And essentially what it is someone using force in order to steal. That's the simplest terms of putting it. That's had a slight increase of 1.9%. Now, the reason being is when we used to record shoplifting, if someone was stealing something from a shop and they'd push past the security guard and leave, we'd record that as a shoplifting. Technically, it's a robbery, isn't it, by law and by definition. So we're now recording that as a robbery. So nationally, robbery's gone up. We've seen increases across the force of around 40%. So the fact that Rother's only 1.9% is actually really positive. And then shoplifting itself. No surprises, shoplifting has increased. Quite over the year, around 40%. In the month of September, 9.7%. That's the main problem, I think, in Rother that we're looking to address as a community safety team. We've certainly had various meetings. If anyone has any questions, in fact, yourself was there, weren't you, Mr. Crotty? By online. But we've had various meetings with partners to try and address this. And I've got something in the events coming up as well. So A, we'd encourage reporting, but B, what we'd really like is, in the back of the room, we've just been joined by Toby, who's the officer for the town centre, to get in touch with him, say hello, certainly when he's out and about, and record and report anything to us, so we can start addressing things a bit quicker. So that's had an increase along with robbery. Burglary residential, I'm really pleased to say there's been a 29.4% decrease in burglaries of residential premises. That's one of the biggest decreases in the force, and really, really good to see. We've had a little spate recently out around Rye area of commercial buildings, garages, for example, for things like quad bikes, but recent arrests have put that to bed as well. And then theft itself, not excluding shoplifting, a slight increase of 5% on that. I'll cover another couple off. So business burglary, again, we seem to suffer more in Hastings really from business burglary, where we get a spate of it in the town centre. But again, there's been a decrease of 44% of business burglaries in Rother. And possession of weapon offences, so the knife offences, again, a decrease of 14.8%. I appreciate I've just stood here and shouted a lot of figures at you there, but the main story is something that I'm certainly really proud of, is 90% of crime is going down in Rother. We've had some really good results on the key things that I think would affect me and yourselves as the community around, you want to be safe in your own home. You don't want people to burgle your addresses. That's down. The public place violent crime is down. The nighttime economy isn't probably as thriving as it was 5-6 years ago, but the public order offences are down. We're seeing reduction in knife crime as well, which is really positive. But the two really big things are the antisocial behaviour, which I think with that comes a fear of violence and tension, and the shoplifting that's increasing. Again, likewise, associates probably with the antisocial behaviour and an increase in fear. taking place in your shops, which I am well aware that, Bexhill predominantly is kind of a sole trader community. So it will have a big effect on them. So some of the events coming up then. On Bonfire Night, the 5th of November, whilst half the police force will be in Lewes, dealing with 20,000 people running around with torches, there will be a Violence Against Women and Girls event in Bexhill as well. So what I've asked is when the clocks go forwards tomorrow, and it starts to get darker in the evenings, that was a reminder for everyone, when it gets darker in the evenings, they go back. There you go, I always get it wrong. So I was going to be well late, wasn't I? Yeah, thank you. So it's going to get darker in the evenings, and I wanted to do some events in Bexhill around, making people feeling safe going home from work effectively from that kind of 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the evening when lots of people are vacating their premises. So on the 5th of November, there's going to be what we call a VORG event, Violence Against Women and Girls, working with partners. We'll have stalls in the town centre and there'll be lots of visibility. And the same on the 3rd of December as well, where we'll also include White Ribbon, which is around domestic abuse around Christmas time. Also on the 6th of November, not a public meeting, but certainly for all the businesses in the town of Bexhill, well, in fact, Rother, we're going to have a discussion at the Delaware Pavilion, again with many partners, around business crime, around safety, around what we can do together as a partnership to try and improve the quality of your working environment, really. And that's very much a group two-way conversation that we'll have around that. And the last thing I wanted to mention really was just leading up till Christmas is two things. One around burglary. That often increases up at Christmas time when people start putting their presents under the tree. So it's just the usual safety messages really about lights on, cars on the drive, making sure the windows are closed. It's getting cold now anyway, isn't it? So they'll be a bit closer. But just looking out for people and looking out for your neighbours around that. If you're ever, worried about anything in the area, as I said last time I was at the forum, if we don't know about things, we can't deal with things. So please, even if it's just suspicious, phone it in. As soon as you phone it in, there's a record and there's a record forever that's taken place. So then we can respond to it. And if we start to see a pattern, as I mentioned in Rye a few weeks ago, we started to see a pattern on the border of these things taking place, I can bid for resources to go there. So that's really important. And then lastly, around scams, really, and I'll cover them quite briefly, but again, by all means, if anyone wants to get in touch with us because they're worried about something they've received or got, or maybe even done, because some of these scams can be sort of embarrassing and personal pride, really, can't they? That they hurt, then please give us a call on 101 or pop into the station, or if you see some of our team around, have a conversation with them. And the main ones going around at the minute really are even my son got one the other day saying that, "Hi, it's Dad, this is my new number, text me on this number, send us 50 quid. I mean, it should be the other way around, shouldn't it? It usually is. But those kind of messages come up often, so please don't reply to them. And again, if you're ever worried, just question it or phone them back on a separate phone. Emails are interesting. So often on emails, if you get them on your phone or computer, if you click where it's sent from, it may well say that it's sent from Amazon, but if you click on that Amazon where it's sent from, it will actually come up from where it is sent from and gives you the address, often very much not Amazon. So don't respond to them as well. And again, anything, just put it in the junk or reply or just phone the company up from your home phone. And the other one, again, is a little bit more contentious as such, and sometimes a little bit, people don't come forward with it because they're embarrassed, is around romance fraud. And that's where you can be contacted on, any chat site, for example, apps as an example, but someone will try and build a relationship with you. They'll want to be your friend. And then all of a sudden, when they come to see you, they've got money troubles and they'll want you to send all sorts of various amounts of money over, but people can lose tens of thousands of pounds where they're sending money to this person that have established a relationship with to come and see them. And then you feel embarrassed, because they've got you. And I would say don't. The best thing to do is to own up that you think that may have happened, come and see us and we can deal with it. Then we'll come and take details from you. You're definitely not the only one. This happens a lot. And we'll try and work out who's doing this and what we can do about it to support you. But the main thing is there's support out there. We'll send a PCSO will go to every one of them, won't they? Rachel. So they do a risk assessment, they'll send it, and we'll pass it on to Action Fraud, and we look at how we can support you through your vulnerabilities as well. I don't know how long I've spent talking, but it feels like a while. But I'm open now for any questions.
Please, we have a first question over here.
Hello.
Hiya.
I hope you can hear that okay. I'd just like to say on behalf of the forum, we're very grateful for you, and we know your time is very valuable. And it's really good to see the police having much more interaction with the public. I've seen some of your officers out on the beat on the seafront last week, I think it was. And certainly your stats that you've given us today are very encouraging. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That was an easy one.
Hi, Simon. Thank you for that. Yeah, vast improvement, which is very good. 2 questions. One, do you mean do not reply about the fake Amazon scam?
Yeah, certainly don't reply to them.
You said reply or delete.
Did I?
Yeah.
No, don't reply, delete, and then well picked up if I did say that. Yeah.
Good, yeah.
And call them. I would call them from your own phone on a number that you found on the internet, as opposed to responding to anything you've directly been sent.
That's fine. And the other one, the violence against women and girls,
Yeah.
Where's that going to be held?
It'll probably be held around either Town Hall Square or around by the 1066 Bakery.
Yep.
So it's a really good point, actually, because the other thing we're trying to get, which we've got planning permission for, really grateful for Rother District Council for that, is a police engagement pod. We've got the pod, we've been given the planning, but we need to get it over from West Sussex over to East Sussex. But as soon as we do that, we'll have I don't want to glorify it really. It's a nice shed, but it's got some good lights on it. It's all liveried with police officers, and we'll advertise times that we're going to be there, and it will just kind of create that residual presence in the town centre. The position where it will be is where the public toilets are. Obviously, they were vandalised, weren't they, not so long ago? So it's going to be next to the public toilets is where it'll be, and then that will be, if you like, our base where people will know when and where we're going to be there to start engaging with us a bit more.
And also for...
Can't give you a timescale though.
No. It's like one in Hastings, I asked.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Also, with the violence against women, will there
Yeah.
be some sort of information that the town council and Rother Council can send out around town?
Yeah, definitely. I'll get in contact with Kerry Summers, our partnership manager, and we can send some things out. Definitely. Yeah, lovely. Hi.
Thanks. Neighbourhood policing.
Yeah.
When I first heard of neighbourhood policing, I thought, well, this is great. We're going to have local bobbies. I was then told, no, it's a group of police officers who have training in neighbourhood-style problems,
Yes.
who can be directed to a neighbourhood when the problem occurs.
Yes.
Now, as you've said, I believe that has moved on a bit. How many officers, or have you the ability to dedicate an officer to an area like Bexhill, or maybe 1 or 2 officers, or are they always from a pool of neighbourhood policing and directed mainly by the figures? So do we have actual neighbourhood officers who are 24/7 Bexhill?
Definitely not 24/7, but because they want to go home and have tea. But so for Bexhill, yes, we have Toby at the back. I won't get him up here and embarrass him. But Toby at the back is the neighbourhood officer for Bexhill. And again, that is based on the stats. The highest demand, the highest risk that we see, the highest activity taking place is in Bexhill, naturally, because it's a bigger town. I would love to have a beat officer for every ward. That would be perfect, wouldn't it? Policing has supplemented that with the police community support officers, that they will lead our problem-solving files. They will lead our engagement, they lead our intelligence. And then, if you like, we use the police officers for the enforcement side. So we've got more of them. So across Rother, we've got 28 PCSOs. I think it's 28 or 24-ish. So 28, good. So with 28 PCSOs, we've only got 5 police officers. So you can see the disparity. But as I say, we'll be getting 2 more in January to support, albeit on a rotational basis. The government's push is for us to have more and more, but of course it just comes down to funding. But that said, that's for your beat officer, to stand there. I do look after what we call a TEU, if you like, an enforcement unit, which is a sergeant and 6 police officers. And they're the ones that can do warrants. They can do plain clothes. So if we've got a burglar in the area, for example, They will do plainclothes work around where we think they're operating to try and catch them. They will do the drugs warrants, they do drug testing, they're search trained and they're public order trained. So the ones where you see with the balaclavas and riot shields, we can call upon them as well. So although we can call upon them, your main beat officer for Bexhill will be one with Toby, and then when we get the additional, we'll give him some support as well. Because that's tough on Toby as well. He will work 3 days, 3 early, 3 late, 3 off. So they work on a 9-day pattern.
Thank, and one more, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Still, absolutely fine, but percentages.
Yes.
I always worry about percentages. I mean, you could say dog thefts are down in Rother by 50%. We think it's bloody marvellous.
But there was
we
only
had
2 in the
last
first
month.
place.
We only had 1 this month.
Yes.
So, do you actually append, not appending things like that?
Yes.
A feel for.
Yes. I can provide you with them. If I provide because I can provide the form with my PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint will have the percentage and the number on them, so you can have all of them.
I'm a local councillor on Town Council and Rother District Council, so I can see those figures if I wish.
Yes.
But just to give, in a forum like this, to give a general picture to people who are maybe not as bombarded with information as I am.
Yeah.
And it does just give a better picture of, is this a big problem we have halved, or is it a small problem but we've only knocked off 10%? You know where I'm going with that.
Me and Tracy were having that conversation beforehand, weren't we? Everyone likes a figure because you always make the stats work for yourself, don't you?
I've yearned after Tracy's figure for years.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, thank you for that.
Hiya.
The decrease in the figures you've given are on the crimes that are reported.
Yes.
And in your experience, is that reflective of actual crimes, or do you have no way of knowing?
You kind of answered it, really. We have absolutely.
You don't know.
We have no way of knowing. I mean, we have. So I think things like shoplifting, I think is getting better. We've got a mechanism in place now where some shops, like every co-op shop, has we call it a one-touch reporting system. So if you look statistically within Sussex Police, what shops have crime the most, it'll be co-op. I don't know how that helps for their insurance, but that's because they report and record everything. We'll go and see Aldi up the road, Lidl up the road, and that, and actually they'll report it when it's big enough. So, and we know that. So we do know that they're never going to be 100% accurate. Hate crime's a really interesting one, as I mentioned in my speech there as well, is, police have a lot of work to do around trust and confidence, don't they, with the public? And only if people trust us and have confidence that we're going to do something do they report things. So, again, hate crime, I would say, is probably not accurate. It's showing a decrease. I'd like to think there is a decrease. But again, to the level is just impossible to say. And this is why I always mention, it's almost my footnote on every email, if we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. And I appreciate it's a two-way thing. We've got to gain trust for people to report things, but we really can't do anything if we don't have it reported. Even if people don't want to do anything about it, by calling in, by logging it, by emailing. And our abandonment rates now, we're the top performing force in the UK for answering our phone calls. In the quickest amount of time, our abandonment rate is something like 3%. So every 100 calls that come through, only 3 have to wait over the allotted time period that we set and get measured on. Years ago, that we weren't great, but that's fantastic now. Same with the 101 calls. Again, they're answered, their abandonment rate on them is next to nothing. And then we've obviously got the technological side where you can submit it via email or single online home.
Yeah, I know, you do see on social media where people have said, oh, such and such has happened, and then someone will reply and say, well, have you reported it? And then everybody, gets on the thing and says, well, what's the point? They don't do anything.
Yeah.
So, you tend to get this feeling that there is quite a lot more going on that people don't report because they don't have the confidence that anything's being done.
Yes. Yeah, and that's where we need to come in around, being here. is one of the things. It's around us being visible, being at these events, holding the Vorg events, holding the businesses events. We need to be as visible as possible to share that message. And again, on social media, to update people on what's happened or what we do.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got time for two more questions. One from Sue, and then three. 1, 2, 3 questions, and then we're out.
I'd just like to say it's an absolute relief not to have the, I'm thinking of a nice way of describing them, the children that are driving around on motorbikes at Ravenside all through the night. It's whatever, I hope it's something that you've initiated, but it has got a lot less of a pain in the neck and sleepless nights than it was before, so thank you.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you. I'll be honest, that was initiated by by councillors. Yeah. I hear them.
Support what Simon is saying. We've had a chat because we're trying to get some momentum with Bexhill Chamber of Commerce and all the local councils to bring businesses together to report crime. Now, as Simon has just disclosed, there are thresholds which some businesses reach before they report a crime. But over the last week or so, I don't know if you guys have actually seen it in the news, the Police Crime Commissioner has pushed through legislation through our government, and we're the first county in the country to do it, where shoplifters will be geotagged. So submit the evidence, let the police compound the evidence so as they can build a case. Those people will go to court, and then hopefully they will get tagged, and those tags will be geofenced. So we can protect local assets by having those tags in place around town. So the emphasis comes back onto us to make sure that every single crime, no matter how small, gets reported in some shape or form.
Brilliant, thank you, Tracy. That's fantastic. And the process behind that, so if someone commits an offence, shoplifting, it's probably not the first time, so therefore we'll have 2 or 3 crimes on them. When we charge them, we won't just charge them with the shoplifting, we'll then submit what we call a criminal behaviour order as well, and it's the criminal behaviour order that controls the tagging. And it's an option when I think it was on the news yesterday, they were saying prisons again are something like 98% full. We see these, as we see prolific offenders that we'll arrest for doing 15, 16, 17 offences, and a week later they're back out on the streets. Well, this gives us another option, of as you say, geotagging them, so we can, effectively we can ban them from Bexhill. Every retail shop in Bexhill we could ban them from, as an example. And if they step foot within a certain distance of Bexhill, it will tag up, it will let us know, and we can go and pick them up. It's good, really good.
Hi. It follows on from what the lady was saying about the antisocial behaviour.
Yeah.
But I know that Bexhill has got a history of car racing. But
Yes.
it's very frustrating. From 11:30 until about 1:30 in the morning, these cars going anywhere from the beach hut right the way up to Galley Hill.
Yeah.
And there seems to be no way of stopping them from speeding. There's no speed cameras, speed bumps, anything. And a lot of neighbours are worried about themselves, and especially dog walkers.
Yeah. Yeah, and you hear them doing the donuts as well, don't you? And then you come in the morning and you see the sprints on the road. It's something we need to look at and address in a bit more detail. And again, I was speaking about it before. It probably needs a problem-solving file, really. So at that time of night, the neighbourhood policing team have gone home. So it may be that we need to look at an operation to keep them on later to do something else. We've done some visual enforcement, but it's always during the day, and that's not the people we need to catch. It's the people in the evening that are doing it. Our roads policing team will be on, but not night time's obviously limited, but it's quite a wide road, so we need to work with them and partners. It may be we can design it out with a couple of speed bumps here and there. You can't really go fast down there anyway, can you? Well, you shouldn't be able to, is what I mean, but because it's a wide road, they do. But it's not a through road, is it? So, it's we've got an opportunity to probably do something there. So I hear that problem, and I do, A, I sympathise, and B, leave it with us, and we'll see what we can do about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, Thank you very much, Simon. I was just going to add on this thing about the speeding cars at night. From what I've seen on social media, it's all over. I'm on Couldon Drive, 2 miles of straight road, and it's just, 1 o'clock in the morning. You've got motorbikes, everybody racing up and down. It's not good, and speed bumps, whatever, inhibitors really are what's needed, really are. But anyway, thank you so much, all 3 of you, for coming along, including Toby there, who's our local Bobby now, apparently. So very welcome and happy to meet you. We'll now take a 5-10 minute break, comfort break, get something to eat and drink as well, and then we'll start again for our last 2 speakers. Right, I'd like to welcome Andrew Crotty, who's going to talk about neurodiversity in the community. Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I'm a town councillor for Bexhill, and I was diagnosed with autism about 5 years ago now. All through my life, I've just been told I was a troublemaker, it was quite fun. So, right, okay. Let me speak. It's a privilege to speak with you today about a subject that is deeply important to me, autism and neurodiversity, and how understanding these can make our communities, workplaces and councillors strong, fairer and more compassionate. Let's start with a simple question. What is autism? Autism, or autism spectrum condition, is a lifelong development difference that affects how a person communicates, interacts with others, and experiences the world around them. It is not an illness, and it's not something that needs to be fixed. It's simply another way of being human, or in my case, me. Autism exists on a spectrum, meaning that every autistic person is unique, and some find some social communication challenging. Others may have sensory sensitivities, like this buzzing noise, or prefer structure and routine. But along with these challenges, many autistic people have remarkable strengths, deep focus, creativity, honesty, and ability to see patterns and details others might miss, hence bits and pieces. For me, I tend to see things in black and white. I am unable to speak in subtle and indirect focuses. When it comes to honesty, I see mistakes as being lies. Plus, I can see differently by how if I see a lie and then until I find it's the truth or it's been changed, then I can't get over that one. I also see physical support. Also need physical support. I am reading this because without it, what I'll be saying now would be just a load of nonsense and gobbledygook, which is kind of normal. In the UK, it is estimated that around 1 in every 100 people is autistic. That's roughly 700,000 individuals, not including their families, friends and colleagues whose lives are also touched by autism. So this isn't a small issue, it's a significant part of our shared community. One of the most important things to remember is that autism is invisible. You cannot see it. Someone may appear perfectly comfortable in a meeting or social situation, while internally they are managing sensory overload or social anxiety. That's why awareness and understanding are vital, because what you see on the surface rarely tells the whole story. This is kind of called as masking, that I just put a mask on, I'm here now, where really I just want to go home, sit in the room, cup of tea, cat on my lap, that's my safe space. And then, in the workplace with neurodiversity should be viewed as an asset, not an obstacle. When employees create environments that are flexible, predictable and respectful of individual needs, everyone benefits. Small adjustments like clear communications, quieter spaces, flexible scheduling can make a world of a difference. And when autistic people are empowered to contribute their skills and perspectives, initiative thrives. Neurodiverse teams tend to think differently and different drives to progress. Speaking personally as both a counsellor and someone who has spent time reflecting on neurodiversity in my own life, I've learned that understanding autism is not just about policy, it's about empathy. In public life, we meet people from every background and ability. When we take the time to listen, to communicate clearly, and to allow people to be themselves, we build trust, and trust is a foundation of good governance. As a councillor, I have a duty to make sure that our services meetings and discussions are inclusive. That means recognising that one size fits all rarely works, whether it's in housing, education or local employment. Designing with neurodiverse citizens in mind creates better outcomes for everyone. Ultimately, embracing neurodiversity is about celebrating the full range of human potential. It's about moving from awareness to acceptance and from acceptance to action. Because when we build a society that includes autistic people fully and fairly, we are not just helping a minority, we are enriching our communities as a whole. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Andrew. And it really is an important subject that so few people can understand, because you can't be inside somebody else, and that's always the difficulty. So the more we can open the door to people understanding, the better we are. Any questions for Andrew? Andrew, one from Andrew, please. It won't be. You won't get on the recording.
Do you think that more employers should be made more aware of the difficulties and open more opportunities?
Yes, definitely, 100%. They should be more aware. It's not a major challenge for someone like maybe in a wheelchair, because obviously, like I said before, if I had my arm cut off, I can learn to adapt to it. But because it's inside and I see things differently, and it's just, they need to be understanding more and be patient as well. Thank you. Oh.
Question from the back.
Hi, Andrew. We've got a couple of questions from social media. What is your biggest challenge being autistic?
Biggest challenge? People not understanding me, because obviously an autistic person, the empathy is different. And yeah, just they need more kind of support as well, really.
Thank you. I've got one more as well. Is working within group settings considered an easy task for somebody with autism?
No, I prefer to work on my own. I don't know if it's a perfectionist thing or something, but it's just more, I find it difficult to be in a team, because it's all talking at once and that, and you just want to focus on one thing, and that's how it goes.
And is there anything that employers could do perhaps to help facilitate that, do you think? Do you think they could have more one-on-one time with people with autism, for instance? Would that be more helpful?
There are training courses that, like the National Autistic Society, that can come out to your workplace and for maybe half a day can can teach people how an autistic person works and that could probably save a lot of confusion and hassle, really.
Thank you. Councillor Sharon Blagrove from the Bexhill Town Council, and I would just like to say that I have worked alongside Andrew, and he's done a very, very good job in the council. And thank you very much for coming and speaking to us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, Andrew, very much indeed. It is a subject close to my heart as well. I have a great niece who has autism, and the important thing, it's not just her as an adult now living with autism, but her whole growing up, especially the years before she understood that she had autism. And they do struggle to fit in with the other kids and all the rest of it, and that's going to impact on every aspect of somebody's life. So thank you for coming up and talking to us today. So our final speaker today is, I have to get my glasses again. I am so bad. Honestly, it's terrible. Sue Peck, who is going to talk about surviving Christmas charity, The Reality of Facing Christmas. I know how I do it, just ignore it, but there you go.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank Sharon for inviting me to say a few words about a charity which is very dear to our hearts. My name is Sue Peck. I'm the chairman of Surviving Christmas. I started off about 12 years ago as a volunteer, and it's evolved into being the project coordinator, the chairman, the treasurer, anything really, just to help and raise funds for this charity, which is based for people's benefit in Hastings and Rother districts. I don't know how many of you are aware of Surviving Christmas. We like to raise awareness as well as funds, but what we do is fill a gap at Christmas, sometimes to give other charities a bit of a break that work 365 days of the year. We fill in a couple of those days. But before that, we ask local agencies to nominate people that they feel would benefit from a Christmas hamper. And that started off about 40 years ago with 30 hampers, and we now produce just under 900. And that is based on people, families or elderly people, people on their own, and the joy on some of the elderly people's faces when they receive a hamper that somebody has thought enough of them to nominate them is as cheering as a family of four that are desperate. And we put in the hamper enough food for them to last them over the Christmas period. I've put some leaflets out actually about the hampers, and they used to cost 32, 37. I did a hamper pack pick last week, and it was £50.45 for exactly the same things. So apart from the cost of living going up for everybody, the cost to our charity has gone up too. It costs us a lot of money to put those together. We're lucky that we've got a manufacturer that gives us the hamper boxes, which we have to go to Reading to collect, bring them back. The volunteers make the boxes up, and Battle Abbey School host us and all our volunteers to pack those boxes, which are then delivered out. We buy most of our stuff from Morrison's. We do not get a discount, and we hugely rely on donations given to us of all sorts of things, not just the basic, like a food bank hamper. Our hampers, we try and make them a little bit more Christmassy, as it is a Christmas charity. So we'll put in a couple of crackers, we'll put in a little individual Christmas cake. But as I say, for that, the price and the cost has gone up immeasurably this year and last. Apart from the hampers, we also provide a Santa Day where we base ourselves at his place in Robertson Street, and we jig up a lovely grotto with Father Christmas. Last year we had Rosie the Pony there as well, and the kids thought that was amazing to have a live pony in the foyer. And we give each child a Christmas present, because what we do on Christmas Day and Boxing Day is have an open house, and we can't have children there because we invite the homeless, disabled, elderly, lonely, but some of the homeless are drug addicts, some are alcoholics, so it's not a suitable environment for children. But we don't want the children of the people nominated for hampers to miss out on Christmas, so we arrange the Grotto Day. And then on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, all our volunteers are there to provide refreshments, entertainment, a 2-course Christmas meal, games, or just befriending with our volunteers. So it's a big thing to do for Christmas. I'm pleased that it's really just Christmas, because if I had to do it all year, I think I'd be exhausted. But Christmas, we start now. We're gearing up now for Christmas. We're fundraising. We don't get any grants from the government. We have to raise our own funds. So if you see us out and about, and we get involved with firework night, Pirates Day, Carnival, anything to try and raise funds for our charity. I'd like to thank you all for listening to me. If anybody would like to volunteer, do use the website or my card's there if you want to phone me. I've also put some flyers out of the sort of things that we like to put in the
hampers themselves. And one of the things that we always ask for are the selection boxes, which used to be, you know, the Cadbury's ones with the chocolates in. They used to be twice as big and half as expensive as they are now. But anything, we're grateful for anything that people can contribute, whether it's time, money or goods for our charity. And I hope you could spread the word to friends of yours that don't know about Surviving Christmas. Thank you. Thank you, Sue. Any questions? Thanks. Is there any questions from anyone? Andrew?
Two questions. One, I'm more than happy if you want me to dress up as the Grinch to come to the Children's Grotto.
Please do, please do.
Just need the date. And the second one is, have you come to Bexhill Town Council for a grant?
No.
You're more than welcome to do that. There's money there.
I should come.
Thank you very much.
And can I just say that the forum is also self-funding, and in able to make us some funds, we are collaborating with Surviving Christmas. I know you haven't forgotten it really. On the 6th of December, we are holding an event at the very beautiful Collington Park Lodge. There's a bit of everything going on. We've got bingo, we've got Father Christmas Grotto, seasonal food, some games and decorating, biscuits and etc. for the children. So we hope to see you there. You'll see the adverts on Facebook, and that's the 6th of December. It starts at 11 and finishes at 5. I'd just like to say thank you also for everybody that's attended the forum this year, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Any more questions for Sue? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sue. That was very, very interesting to learn about. I have to admit I hadn't heard of your charity before, so there we go. Given the poor quality of our microphone, it reminds me to mention this is a totally self-funded organisation, the Rother Forum, hence we can't afford to buy better microphones. It's as simple as that, but we're doing the best with what we've got. So in case you didn't hear fully what Sharon just said, at Collington Lodge, 6th of December, and I think you forgot to say Rosie the Pony will be there as well. So don't miss it. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming today, and thank you for all the very interesting questions. And we will be back in the new year, not till February. We leave Christmas to take over in 2 months' time. Then we'll come back in February. We are aiming to try evening meetings next year to see if that suits some people who can't make the daytime. And there we are. Look forward to seeing you all again. Oh, sorry. We haven't fixed the dates yet. So we've got a lot of work to do before we get there, but we will publicise as widely as we possibly can. Thank you very much indeed.